Imagine pulling into your own driveway after work, only to have your neighbor storm across the street, scream that you stole your own car, and call the police. Minutes later, you're surrounded by flashing lights and raised voices fighting to prove the obvious truth. "Hands up! Step away from the vehicle!" Terence Braxton froze, his car halfway inside his garage, headlights still glowing against the white paint of his two-story house. A minute ago, he had been thinking about dinner, leftover barbecue ribs he'd been looking forward to all day. But now, 4 police cruisers blocked the end of his driveway, officers standing behind open doors with their hands hovering over their holsters. He blinked, disoriented, his first thought not even fear, but confusion. How could this be happening in front of his own home, his own garage, his own car? But the answer came in the form of a sharp, screeching voice cutting across the cul-de-sac. "There he is! That's him! That's the man who stole my car!" Lorraine Pritchard, his neighbor across the street, stood in her yard waving her arms like she was flagging down an airplane. Terence had barely pulled in before she stormed over, pointing at his silver Infiniti like it was some trophy she had lost at an auction. "That's my car! I just bought it this week!" she screamed, phone clutched in one hand, still connected to 911 dispatch. Terence shook his head slowly, his mouth open in disbelief. "This is my car! My car! Lorraine, what are you talking about?" She didn't hear him, or maybe she didn't care. Her voice rose higher, angrier, dripping with authority she didn't actually have. "He broke into my garage! He's a criminal! Arrest him!" Terence glanced toward his front door. His 14-year-old daughter, Simone, had stepped outside, her phone already recording. Her eyes darted between the officers and her father, wide and trembling. "Dad," she whispered, barely loud enough for him to hear. "It's okay, baby," he said softly, raising his hands just enough to show the police he wasn't a threat. He wasn't even holding his car keys anymore. They dangled in the ignition, the engine still running. "Just keep recording." The weight of the moment pressed down on him. The flashing lights reflected off the garage walls. The entire cul-de-sac had gone silent. Blinds shifting, curtains pulling back, neighbors peeking out like it was their evening entertainment. Terence forced himself to breathe. His chest was tight, his pulse pounding so hard he could hear it in his ears. This wasn't just an argument with a neighbor anymore. This was now a scene where one wrong move, one misinterpreted gesture, could spiral into something irreversible. "Sir?" One of the officers shouted. "Step away from the vehicle, hands visible at all times." Terence obeyed slowly, stepping backward from the garage. His shoes scraped against the driveway, the sound strangely loud in the tense silence. "Look at him! Look at him!" Lorraine hollered, pointing like she was calling out a suspect in a lineup. "That's my car! I just paid cash for it!" Terence couldn't hold back anymore. His voice cracked as he shouted back across the driveway. "You're out of your mind! I've had this car for years! Years! You see that license plate? That's mine! My name is on it! My registration, my insurance, everything!" Simone moved closer to him, her phone camera steady despite her shaking hands. "Dad, they're aiming at you," she whispered again. He didn't look at her. He couldn't. He knew that if he broke eye contact with the officers now, it could be seen as defiance. So he kept his hands raised and his body still, speaking only when necessary. "My wallet is in my pocket," he said clearly, his voice carrying in the night air. "I can show you my license and registration. This is my property. This is my car. I live here. You can check." Lorraine's voice didn't stop. It cut through every word like broken glass. "Don't believe him. He doesn't live here. He moved in recently. I don't care what paper he pulls out. That's my Infiniti. I bought it from CarMax on Monday." Her words dripped with certainty, like she could bend reality just by saying it enough times. Terence finally turned his head toward her, his face twisting in disbelief and something deeper. Humiliation. "Lorraine, my daughter has grown up in this house. I've been in this neighborhood for 9 years. You've waved at me. You've seen me park this car in this garage every single day. You're lying." But Lorraine only raised her phone higher and spoke louder into the receiver. "He's threatening me now. He's yelling. Please, hurry!" The officers looked from Lorraine to Terence, their hands still twitching near their holsters, the decision hanging in the air like a storm cloud about to break. And that's when Simone's voice, small but firm, cut through the noise. "My dad didn't steal anything," she said, her camera still recording. "You're making this up, and everyone watching knows it." For the first time that night, Lorraine's expression faltered. But the officers weren't convinced yet, and the night was only just beginning. The blue and red lights from the patrol cars cast long shadows across the cul-de-sac. Neighbors stood at their windows, some holding their phones, others whispering through cracked doors. What had started as a normal evening had now turned into a public stage, with Terence Braxton at the center of it. Lorraine Pritchard's voice rose even louder, frantic, urgent, the kind of tone designed to convince anyone listening that she was the victim. She paced the edge of the driveway like she owned the entire block. "He's lying! Don't you see? He's trying to trick you. This man is dangerous. He broke into my car and is pretending it's his. He's making it up as he goes along." Terence stood there, his hands still raised, his chest rising and falling in sharp breaths. He was no stranger to pressure at work. Project deadlines, corporate presentations, last-minute fixes that kept him up at night. But this wasn't a boardroom. This wasn't something that could be solved with a calm explanation and a slideshow. This was his life, his dignity, his safety. "Officer," Terence said, keeping his voice measured. "My wallet is in my back pocket. My registration and insurance are in the glove compartment. Please allow me to show you. Everything matches. This is my Infinity. It has always been mine." The closest officer, a stocky man with a shaved head, exchanged a glance with his partner. His hand hovered, uncertain, while Lorraine jabbed a finger at them. "Don't let him move. He's probably got something hidden in that car. He could have a weapon. You can't trust what he's saying." Simone, still filming, couldn't hold back. "Why are you listening to her? That's my dad. This is our car. She's lying. You know she's lying." Her voice cracked, but she didn't stop. Her phone was pointed squarely at the officers, capturing everything. Their hesitation, their doubt, their authority wavering under the weight of one woman's accusation. Terence turned his head slightly toward his daughter, his voice low and steady. "Simone, keep recording. Don't stop, no matter what happens." Lorraine scoffed, folding her arms across her chest, her mouth twisted in disdain. "Oh, please, she's just covering for him. That's what they do. That's what families like this do. They'll lie and lie until you finally realize you've been played." The words hit Terence like a punch. His jaw clenched, but he forced himself not to react. He had seen enough stories in the news, enough tragedies, to know that the wrong movement, the wrong tone, could tip this entire situation into something irreversible. "Ma'am," one of the younger officers finally said, his voice wavering. "Do you have proof of purchase? A bill of sale? Anything that shows this vehicle belongs to you?" Lorraine straightened up, smug, as if she had already won. "Of course I do. It's inside. I can get it. But why should I, when he's standing there with his lies? You should cuff him now before he runs. If you let him grab that paperwork, he'll fake it. People like him always know how to fake things." Terence exhaled sharply through his nose, his patience thinning. He looked directly at the officers. "With all due respect, I have everything you need right here, right now. You don't have to take her word. You don't have to guess. It's in my glove compartment. And if you let me reach into my wallet carefully, you'll see my driver's license with this address. This is my home. This is my car. Please, let me show you." The older officer raised his hand, signaling for silence. "Sir, we'll retrieve your wallet ourselves. Slowly tell me where it is." Terence nodded, relief flickering for the first time. "Back pocket, right side." The officer walked forward cautiously, removed the wallet, and pulled out Terence's license. He held it up under the cruiser's spotlight. The name, the address, everything matched. But before anyone could breathe easier, Lorraine's voice tore through the air again. "That proves nothing. He could have made that card. Do you know how easy it is to fake a license? Don't you see what's happening? You're falling for it." Terence laughed bitterly, shaking his head. "Are you serious? You think I faked an entire state-issued ID just to park in my own driveway?" Lorraine's lips curled. "I wouldn't put it past you." The younger officer shifted uncomfortably. He glanced back at his partner, then at Simone, then at Lorraine, whose face had grown red with fury. The tension was thick enough to choke on. Simone spoke again, her voice steadier this time. "You've seen us here every day. My dad's car has been parked in this garage since I was a kid. Why is she the only one you're believing?" The older officer rubbed his forehead, clearly frustrated. "We're not here to take sides. We're here to sort this out." But the truth was, Lorraine's constant shouting, her absolute conviction, had already shaped the night. Even with Terrence's license in hand, doubt lingered in the air like smoke. Terrence looked at the officers, then back at Lorraine, his voice low, his words deliberate. "You're doing this because you want to, not because you believe it. You want to humiliate me, in front of my child, in front of everyone.